Hello, this is Big Bopper with a Malifaux second edition batrep, my first second edition batrep. Um, this is very much a playtest game. My crew has 3 models in it which are in the Wave 2 beta, and my opponent's entire crew is from the Wave 2 beta, so please keep that in mind. So in my crew, I decided to go with Zorida the Nurse, Wicked Doll, 2 Wild Guys, Tuco, and the mature Nephilim is playing the role of Nekima. I was very interested to see how Nekima especially would go. I haven't used her yet. On paper, she looks awesome. The upgrades I took on Zorida were Hexbag, Raven Form, and Aether Connection, and Obsidian Talons and Nexus of Power on Nekima. Quite a powerful combination, I think. Makes her very survivable. Keep in mind that that was before the errata on Nexus of Power. So we have my opponent's list, and this is the first time he's using McCabe in second edition. So he's got McCabe, 2 riflemen, Sadir, 2 doggies, Luna, 1 wastrel, and the trapper is playing the role of a pathfinder. For his upgrades, he took strange metal shirt, glowing saber, and invigorated by adventures. No upgrades on Sadir or anybody else. He really likes McCabe, and he likes his fluff, and he liked the way he played in first edition. And in first edition, I've said this before, he really brought control and speed to the guild, and it'll be interesting to see what he brings here. So as I said, it's a beta. Keep that in mind when you're watching the game. Anyway, we will be moving on to deployment. So I lost deployment, so my opponent made me deploy first. The marker in the center of the board you see there is strategy turf war. So there's all my guys there. Tuco I had behind that forest just to either move out in the flank or to push into the center to help. My plan was those wild guys would just move up into the center, hold the position, and try and get me the 4 points for turf war. Wicked Doll just to move around. Zorida I kept the close just to put some obeys on Nekima if needed. Schemes I took announced outflank and unannounced bodyguard. With the Nexus of Power, it's pretty good choice. So this is McCabe with his deployment. As you can see, the Pathfinder's behind that bit of rock there, and everybody else is pretty much deployed on a line. He had Luna and the 2 dogs on a flank, and his schemes were Line in the Sand announced and Protect Territory announced. So, you know, I thought that if I could beat him on his schemes, prevent some of the schemes, I might do all right. So this is the end of turn 1. As you can see, everybody's moved up there. There's already a few line in the sand markers. His wastrel, McCabe gave the wastrel the shirt and gave him a push, and he moved up onto the line and was ready to drop a marker turn 1. McCabe moved up and dropped the marker turn 1. The Pathfinder has summoned a trap, which are pretty annoying. Those riflemen have set themselves up in a good shooting position, and Sadir is behind the rock. Sorry about this photo here. As you can see, there's a corpse counter next to Nekima. I was out of position, so I obeyed her twice to move up there. Then she did 2 walks, and with melee expert, she killed a dog. And he's already laid a marker with another dog, and Tuco's moving up to try and take those dogs out. And this is where I am in the middle here. The nurse and the Wicked Doll are behind that rock there. The 2 wild guys are in the forest, and you can see by those markers that they've placed their germinate markers just to give me a bit of cover. And after the 2 obeys that Zorida put on Nekima, she moved up behind them. Obey is really good to sort of like compensating for poor deployment, I find. With the bay and the double walk for Nekima, she walked 24 inches and had an attack in the first turn. So this is turn 2. Nekima walked and then charged in using her melee expert. I've since read in the errata she couldn't do that, so really she should have only double walked and made an attack, but she took out a rifleman. And then McCabe said, right, I can't have her butchering my crew, and charged into her. Now, with all of his flips and attacks, he missed with 1 because I flipped a red joker on defense. He did 8 wounds, but with my burning of soul stones and the lovely Nexus of Power pre-errata, she didn't suffer any wounds. He did 8 wounds, but she got it all back. And he suffered 2 wounds of black blood for his trouble. So that's pretty nasty, and they really needed to change it, because you can almost send your henchmen in with impunity and just try and punish. My opponent just thought he had to charge McCabe in, otherwise Nekima would run rampant in his back line, and I was certainly hoping that she would do that. But she was proving a really good distraction and a handful for my opponent's crew. So this is everybody deployed up. Traps move. They summon another trap and it move around to where the Wicked Doll is. Zorida got Bewitch on McCabe. Awesome spell. She got 6 cards out of that spell from McCabe's turn. I would highly recommend, if you take Zorida, trying to get it on a worthwhile model every turn, because it really helps with your resources. The Nurse moved up into position. I don't think she did a lot this turn, just getting ready for more stuff. Turn 2 here. Tuco and the dogs exchange wounds. That dog's down to 1 wound, and Tuco actually got his push effect off on Luna and pushed her 7 inches away, and that's an awesome ability. My opponent pointed out that I could have used it better and actually pushed Luna into my other models, but I wasn't thinking straight. Yep, turn 3, Doll versus Trap, the epic fight of the game that lasted all of the game, pretty much. The pillow fight between the Doll and Trap, quite entertaining. My Nurse that turn paralysed the Trapper with you take your meds. Zorida also summoned a Voodoo Doll. She also accomplished with the Nurse. It's such a nice combination. And she just got Prevent Use Soulstones on Sadir, and set up Sadir for a lot of nasty conditions being placed on him through that Doll by the Nurse. Nekima was slowed last turn by McCabe's melee attacks, and McCabe takes off a few more wounds. I burned my last Soulstones with her, but she's still on 8 or 9 wounds, and she kills the other Pathfinder. My Wildgeist moves off to the flank to help Tuco with those dogs. Tuco manages to finish off the dog with his Wicked Claws, and Luna moves up and places another scheme for a line in the sand. And, he's certainly getting the markers down, and I've got to do something about trying to prevent him there. And I thought the Wildgeist would help with that, and, also to try and get my outflank. Yeah, the Wastrel's just moving down the corner, placing scheme markers. He's placed those 2 there, and now he's moving to try and get a protect territory off. So this is the end of turn 4. The Wildgeist has moved over and removed one of those counters. Double walked Tuco, and he did that push on Luna again to push her right back, and I'm intending to move Tuco up to get rid of that marker next turn. Yeah, so I'm winning that flank now. Tuco, that push is really nice. He needed help with Nekima at first, and now with the Wildgeist to secure that flank. The 3 dogs by himself would have been too much. In this turn, I won initiative, and I had a high tome, like a 13 tome, and the Red Joker. So the Nurse went first and paralysed Sadir with Take Your Meds, and then decided to essentially paralyse McCabe with a tome. He was negative flips on any of his actions. So he was bewitched as well, so he chose not to do anything. I moved the Wicked Doll up there to block McCabe off. And yeah, then Nekima easily disengaged from McCabe, killed the Pathfinder. She then did a strike at Sadir, and she flipped the Black Joker, and so he riposted her for 4 wounds. He was paralysed, so I don't know whether he gets his abilities or not. So that was another mistake we made, I think. I'll have to look that up, but I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have been able to riposte. But it was still pretty funny and pretty cheeky. But, here she was trying to butcher everybody, and he gets in a quick stab. This is turn 5, and yes, it's the Wastrel's now down there trying to do protect territory. So the Wastrel's been good for McCabe. He kept him out of the fight. My opponent's always really good at getting the most out of his models, and he was playing schemes all the way. And this Wastrel was leaving a trail of markers and giving him a chance to get a decent score. The Wildgeist is on the corner here. I just did Germinate. Yeah, Tuco moved up, got rid of that counter, and I think he might have pushed Luna again. I'm not sure. It was a really nice ability. So I've removed those counters from that side, trying to deny protect territory there. The Nurse, again, I got the Red Joker and a Brilliant Hand. So basically I have paralysed both McCabe. Well, actually, I made McCabe only do melee strikes, and nobody's in melee except the Voodoo Doll, and doesn't really want to hit that and hurt Sadir. And then through the Hem ability, through the Doll, the Nurse paralyzed Sadir again. So my opponent's getting really frustrated, and Nurses with Zorida at this stage, I'm thinking it almost auto-include. That Wicked Doll was obeyed because, I forgot, the combat with the trap was ended when Nakima killed it. She was just sick of them fighting and she wanted to heal herself up. This is Tuco's charged in, and I think he's killed Luna this turn. Yep, McCabe's dismounted there. Again, I think we made a mistake. He could only do melee action, so I don't think he was allowed to do the 0 sacrifice, but he's within 2 inches of that protect territory marker, so he's going to score some points of it. I moved my Wild Geist up and just germinate a few more things. Sadir's still paralysed. Yeah, it's pretty much going according to my plan anyway. Nakima has moved out of there just to secure bodyguard, not to suffer any more wounds and not risk any more riposts. So Nakima's down there. She's got a full bodyguard. She'll get the 3 points for that. The Wicked Doll I've now moved to the corner so he can get protect territory. That marker is just marking the halfway point. And there's my opponent's dead pile, and most of that's due to Nakima. With Obsidian Talons, you know, you can cheat in or even burn a Soul Stone and get that extra mass to cheat in damage. And 8 severe damage is really nasty. And yeah, Zorida Raven to here, and there's a marker that the Waster put down, and she flew over there and obeyed him away, denying him getting 3 points on the protect territory. So my opponent hadn't managed to kill anything in my crew, and he was sort of left wondering what McCabe's crew does, but I'll let him talk about on the forums about his thoughts on the McCabe crew. As for my crew, Nakima, she's really nasty. And, you know, as a henchman, if you're playing a henchman-only game, I don't know why you would choose any other Neverborn henchman over her. And that, to me, maybe she still needs a little bit of tweaking. My opponent, at the end of the game, thought she'd be an always include in whatever crew I was using. The fact that her ability can be potentiated by the obey from Zorida, and her combining with Lucius could be downright nasty. We found it interesting that she didn't have Terrifying, but I'll talk about that more. The Wicked Doll was fun. For 4 Soul Stones, he's really good. Tuco from the Shadows, very nice. And, you know, his push was very handy. I quite like where he's at. Zorida with the Nurse, nasty. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it all, guys. See